basic project, dam project. What are you gonna do to save the fish?
You want to get some fish? Everybody here will cook a few.
No, I don't really.
We can all foster fish.
Adopt a fish
About
program.
the fish foster, yeah.
Quiet works better. Anthony, you're up.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee, the Albany Water Board for Friday, July 24th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. I'll introduce myself. Again, my name is Anthony Owens. I am the chair of the Finance Committee. We'll go to my left.
Yeah, Michael Franchini, member.
Karen Wolf, project coordinator.
Chuck Houghton, chairman.
Rachel Johnson, member.
Bill Simcoe, acting commissioner.
I'm Bill Conrad, consultant.
Justin Shieldbon, operations manager.
Sarah Terrell, HR generalist. Alice Baker, mayor's office. Nora Murphy, council.
I've listened to fiscal officer.
Thank you. All committee members are present. The minutes were distributed previously, so if there's no discussion, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we'll start with the finance report. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. So first, before I start explaining the financials, I would like to apologize for late submission of the reports and also not being able to provide the graphs like I used to do every month. One of the reasons is because of the transition happened in the middle of like so many things like audit, budget, and the regular workload, and also like being a chief accountant and promoted to chief fiscal officer. So having both responsibilities at the same time is just like it's just taking time a little bit to get settled down.
You're doing fine.
Thank you.
Land your vertical and
Thank
take
you.
your nurse. We need you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go over with the regular financials that I generally provide to the board members. This is the summary page. We have some additions to the summary. Generally, we used to provide just revenue collections number, which is the dollar amount goes to our bank account. Mr. Simcoe, our commissioner, suggested like it's better to put the billing also so that we know our true revenue that we're billing to the residents. So we added 2 extra sentences under the revenue. So it says like revenue billed during the month of June, we billed to the residents like $3.2 million, which increased from the prior year, June, $272,000. Year-to-date revenue billed $21 million, which increased to $1.4 million from last year. Compared to the billing, the collection was like $3.4 million, which decreased from last year, June, by $116,000. However, the year-to-date revenue collected is $22 million, which is increased by $1.9 million. Miscellaneous revenue was a little bit lower compared to last year, last month. So it's just $12,000. We're still working on the penalties and interest, which is like once we have the number, I'll put them in there. Expenditures for this period was $2.4 million, which is increased by $90,000 compared to last year. And year-to-date expense, it seems like $1.5 million decreased. I believe there is a journal entry still pending for the taxes that needs to be booked, which is close to $500,000. So basically, the difference is only $1 million. If we look at the capital spend for June, we basically paid $2.1 million for our capital projects, where we received three disbursements in total of $272,000. One of them was financing, $92,000, and other two were grants. One of them from DEC for $71,000. Another one is 109, which is $109,000 from DOH. If we look at the actual versus budget, the revenue was billed under the budget by $472,000, whereas year-to-date revenue was billed over the budget by $251,000, which is even better. news. Revenue collection for the period was under the budget, $258,000. And it appears is the same things like revenue collection was also over the budget by $412,000.
Is some of that timing?
It is, and some of them, the collections are mostly with timing, and the billings, sometimes it depends of based on the consumptions. Expenditures for the period was over the budget by 379. Budget by $3.3 million. Aged receivables is 2.7. Receivables, so I still reached out to OGS to get $800,000 they have, which is only basically like below 60 days. So it's normal receivables, but still I reached out to them. Our balance in the line of credit is still the same, 2.1 million, and I believe down to the road when we have the money and we can just plan to pay them off to eliminate the interest that we are paying. Year-to-date line of credit interest, we paid $45,000, and our bond debt, which is only the interest part of here, is $900,000. So we paid the 2021 bond interest for the month of June, which is due $410,000. So that's part of that interest is there.
Do you still think you can pay off the 2 million by the end of the year?
I'm still, I don't have like actual cash flow projection, so I don't have the answer now.
Okay.
I have to work on the projection, and then
Okay,
I can give you the definite answer.
thanks.
And if we go by the reports, I want to go to the next one. Yeah, this one. In here, I've also added two additional line. So the first two line, it says water and sewer revenue billing. And also it says water and sewer revenue collection. So the collection was there before, which was like the dollar amount that I was mentioning. But the billing was not there before. So this is like an addition to this month. And Karen, if we can just scroll down so that there's another more, a little more. Keep going. One more. No, more. It's just basically the last one. Yeah. This one, yeah. So we used to provide the Route 7 year-to-date revenue mostly all the time. And we never provided the monthly revenue for Route 7. We used to provide only from Route 1 to 4 monthly.
Right.
So now it does not show the true picture of the total revenue because we are only seeing 1 to 4 monthly revenue, not the Route 7 monthly. So Mr. Simco suggested this slide should be there. So I tried my best to put it together from there slide. Anyway, it's from 2021. I think there's additional zero in there, but I need to fix that. But yeah, besides that, this is like an additional information in the report, monthly reports. Does anybody has any question on the financial reports?
Yeah, I guess one thing to point out was
Yeah.
we had a lot of sales to Bethlehem in last year's, which was due to their water quality and other problems. So
Correct. Why do you think the significant year-over-year numbers have declined like that?
I think it's increased, yeah.
Am I looking at that right?
Yeah, I think from 2021, it's just increased. Only 2026 is just
In other words,
June.
but comparing last year, 2025, with 26,
The first month. Okay, so I need to have a look. It might be, I'm not 100% sure.
we had these sales to Bethlehem
Right.
particularly in beginning.
That's
of
right, we
last
took that out.
Correct, yeah.
which was in last year.
Yeah, last year they had problems and they were buying a lot in the winter,
Oh.
the winter last year.
Okay, so if nobody has.
Any more questions?
I do. Can you go back to the expense sheet?
Sure.
The one that has a little summary down at the bottom. No,
Operational expense.
one more.
A little bit up.
There's,
Yeah.
okay. When you get time, can you expand on other? That's a big number.
Sure, I'll put,
It disappeared.
no, it has still, it's there. Sorry.
It's here?
Yeah, it says tax paid if you. can.
Oh, here?
Yeah,
Right here.
there's an asterisk there.
Oh, okay. Okay. My error. Got it.
Yeah.
I read these after I went to dinner last night. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's my fault that I didn't send it
No, that's
earlier.
Are there any more questions? So then we'll move on to the audit. I'm sorry.
I was gonna just make a copy or a comment. The Polytech numbers are just incredible.
Yeah.
They have, year to date, it was 4.1 last year for the first 6 months of the year. It was 4.4 million this year. And you go back a couple of years, it wasn't much at all. That's double what the state is.
They have increased by 16%, which is like as per my worksheet, like it's just the consumption is like really, really increasing.
The state number, that's like Harriman campus and everything downtown, that's total. The state that you said it's double the state number.
Just
Yeah, the
now.
regular state billing is like 2 million a month, or it's been 2 million year to date,
Correct.
I think. And Polytech is over 4. Just incredible what they're. And they don't show up at the rate hearings. So,
No, no.
I guess they keep things really clean there.
no.
I'm making so much money there. That's a little bit of, that's not a lot of money to them.
It's also gonna be nice when the Harriman Center is done. That they're bringing things from all over the place in one location.
That should increase, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a big help.
Okay, so since nobody has any more questions, I'll move to audit. So for audit, I have an update. I had a call with the auditors yesterday. So there's 2 things. One is the auditor is gonna complete their audit this year remotely. The reason is that generally they schedule their the field work visit is generally like beginning of the June, where we had the transition, and I was not able to provide the accommodation for them. So now they're fully booked with their schedules. However, we are in very good shape with the audit process. We just received the request, like 8th request yesterday, which is basically the last request. And we are expecting our draft from audit is like August 7th. That's the date they gave me yesterday. So hopefully I'll have the draft by August 7th. And with the budget, so this year we started totally differently with the budget process. In previous, it used to be the finance head and the commissioner, and mostly the expense trend, like the history of the expense, how it was, and based on that, basically, they used to provide or prepare the budget. But this year, I think we changed the process. Basically, finance head should not provide the numbers. It should be the division heads, because they know the operations better than the finance head. So we had meetings and we're in the process of collection of the numbers. So some of the division heads provided the numbers still, some of the division head, we're still waiting for the numbers. So once we have those numbers, then Mr. Simcoe, Commissioner, is gonna meet with the division heads and just make sure they're falling with the expectations of our revenue that matches with that, and then we will complete our budget and our estimate to complete our budget within the next 2 weeks for the operational expense. Hopefully by then we'll have our budget ready.
Yeah, presentation is the next board meeting.
Correct.
Good. That'll be a busy meeting in August.
And that's it from my side.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to Bill.
Well, I have a few things today. But first, I thought it would be interesting to go back in history a little. And there should be enough for everyone. So this top page, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I just think it's interesting. And I was looking for something, and we like most entities, everything is digital, and but you never can find it if it's in a wrong file. So, but I was able to find what I was looking for, and this was attached to it. And this shows how the board and the authority came together. And this is all, well, primarily in 1988. And if you start with the upper left, the background on this is that the city had a cash problem. And
Sounds familiar.
this was developed in order to get the water department effectively in its own entity. So it could raise rates, which the city had not done in some time. So again, this is 1988. And the city and the board agreed that the board would pay the city to reimburse them for their deficit that they had. And that deficit was 37.5 million. So, and I'm looking at the box that says board and authority. So the $37.5 million went to the city to cover them for past losses. And what did we do? Well, we ended up with that $37.5 million. We also had to transfer $5 million for cash uses in the old in the city's old system. And those payments are listed there. So the total of the payments to the city was 32 million. That gave us cash available of 10, but we had to start a reserve fund of $8 million. So we really started with 1.7 million. And then on the city's side, they received 32 million. They also received, well, in kind, the debt for the water fund and the sewer fund, which were previously in the city's books, those were defeased. There was 10 million and $16 million paid for that. And then there was a repayment of a loan to the city's general fund. So the city kind of came out even. The board then issued bonds. So they started with $37 million in debt. And it all came together. It came together like, well, this was 1987. It came together in 1988. And that's how it started. And so the city was no longer burdened with the cost of improvements, which, as we all know here, the improvements and the capital costs are tremendous. So that's a quick overview. Any comment? Any
No,
questions?
that's interesting.
The year I started with the city.
I'm sorry.
That's the year I started with the city.
Oh,
Lovely. History.
And Bill, it looked like you had your own firm then.
well,
You
we've had a lot of
AWB?
mergers since
Yeah.
then, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
but what I really want to talk today about is on the next page. And, we distributed this. I change it around every once in a while, but there are two things that really, when the numbers are not in a good position, these are the things, the two things, one of which has to be corrected. So the debt coverage ratio, we have not had a problem with the debt coverage ratio since, in the past 20, 25 years. We did have a major problem. We were in default with the debt coverage ratio. And that preceded implementing increases that were quite significant. There were, I think, within a 4 or 5 year period, there were increases that exceeded 30%. So the debt coverage ratio, I'm not concerned with that today, and I have no doubt will be above 1.15 to 1 in the current year. The real problem is cash, and cash is a problem. I mean, we all know we have a line of credit down to $1 million, which is somewhat of a miracle in itself. But we have declining balances. We have a lot of CapEx, ton of uncertainties with the sewer contract. And our labor costs continue to go up. And I'm not suggesting any of those shouldn't be in the mix, but that's the thing that's going to push us to continue to push up rates. And I just going to highlight a couple things on here. One of the things we can discuss at some point is the rate hearing process. We've all been there, but it is, to me, it's remarkable that in the past 2 years, we've had nobody show up at the rate hearing. So, I look at it differently than perhaps property taxes. And of course, the water numbers are a lot less. But, and I think the third year back, we had one person who showed up and they were in the wrong place, if I remember. So it's not like there's a lot of folks out there that don't, that are challenging this. If we move down, I mean, some of the things with the rate structure in the past, when we've looked at things, by the time we look at them and talk about them, we're really in a position we have to do something. And what we've done consistently for the past decade is simply increase everything. So large users, super large users, and residential, they're all the same. And when and while their rates are different, they all get the same percentage of increase. I'd like to suggest that, assuming we have the time, to really think about doing something with the larger users. And obviously the state is the largest user in our, they're the only users within that second tier. But making that a higher number without getting, I mean, certainly they're not going to have any issue with it. I think is an easy way to kind of make the residential rate higher, but not the same percentage higher. So that's one thing I think we want to talk about in the next couple months. The other things are, I mean, all different things we could do. Special assessments, I kind of like. I liked it before, but I continue to like it, and particularly on the sewer side. Lead abatement, we could still do, although perhaps it's not as timely as it could have been. But finding the right thing, and again, the sewer numbers are going to be significant, and having something unique with that, linked to that, is a good thing. Some of the other things that we've talked about is having a different model. Right now, our model is 1-to-1. In other words, whatever the water goes up, the sewer goes up the same, and effectively it's matched. So having special billings and let's just say a higher number for sewer, I think is a great idea, but I'd be concerned about entities like Polytech, and I don't know the secret formula how they use all that water, but it's not going back to us. Am I right? Is it going through the sewer system?
Yes, it is.
For every gallon? I thought
Yeah, because
a
it
lot
gets
of it
spoiled.
evaporates.
They need perfect water to
Well,
make those chips.
It's a combination of things. So they have some evaporative with their with their air conditioning, but they also have some creation with their dehumidification.
Okay.
So it's and it's so complicated to try to meter the sewage that when we discussed how they'd have to try to meter it if they wanted to have a different bill for sewer versus water. Water metering is an accurate kind of a thing.
Well,
So,
but we can talk more about that.
Right.
And
so, but that topic has come up in the past with our large users. Is what about our consumptive users?
so, but there's a lot of ways to approach this, and I think that we should set aside some time to do that.
I would add, maybe most of you saw in the paper that Rensselaer this week raised their rates 22%.
Yeah. And then this last page, you've seen it before. This is simply from November 1983, which was the beginning that preceded the transfer to the board and the authority. But I think what's interesting here is that you can see the real impact that hit the state, and adding the tier 2. Initially, there was only residential and large users. So by adding the large user, they have gone up far, far more, as a percentage than the residential or even the large users. So focusing on those large users, it has a good payback. That's my presentation, but
Do you want to add anything about the bond issue that we talked about yesterday?
yes. So the monies that we borrowed 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we refunded our large bonds. And we also took, was it 20, maybe? Do you know, remember?
We
20,
ended up with 25.
25.
Total.
Okay, so, but we also, while we were doing that, got 25 million in addition to fund capital projects. I think last month, we had 100,000 left. Does that sound right? Of that,
No, I think it's still $1 million.
or is it a million?
Million left in it.
Okay, so there's $1 million that's gonna be consumed in the near term. And then we don't have a dedicated source for capital improvements. That becomes a real problem because then there's kind of a, how do we fund them? And so when we went out in, I think it was in 2001, interest rates were very, very low. Interest rates have gone up. We don't know where they're going, but it's the right thing to do because it becomes much less expensive than borrowing on the line of credit. And so I would suggest even before the end of the year that we think about doing either 20 million, maybe 25 million, to ensure that we have a funding mechanism for the capital plan, at least for the next 4 or 5 years.
Do you think that the city's bond rating change will affect us?
Well, no, because we have our own,
Right.
we're issuing bonds, but whenever you have entities linked like that, in other words, if the state of New York had a problem and with its rating, and it's going to impact the Thruway Authority, it's going to impact everything in the state. I mean, obviously, in order for the water board to work, we need a strong city. And, there's some uncertainties right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't remember this, Bill, but when you borrow money, how long do you have before you have to spend it down?
Meaning, how many years do you
Yeah, how
pay
many
back?
years? I'm sorry.
Generally,
No,
20.
not pay it back, but if you borrow $25 million, do you have to spend it within 2 years, 3 years?
Yes, you're supposed to
Okay,
do it within 3 years.
that's what I thought.
That's
So what happens when you don't?
nothing really.
Okay,
Yeah, we've not been penalized. We just paid, how much do we pay back on the rebate report?
$146,000.
146. So, and this is really the authorities issue, but because the money wasn't spent as quickly as we might have promised in the bond issue,
Right.
we had to rebate to the federal government 146,000, which was money we earned because the money was with the trustee.
Right.
They were earning
Right.
good money. And so we have to give back the excess to IRS.
Right.
So
Bill, does the authority have a repayment schedule for the next 20 years of our current
debt?
For the next 20,
Yeah,
it's in the audit report. There's a
I
section.
have it.
you
I
have.
can
Yeah.
forward it to you next up to 2050, 53, I think I have.
Okay.
So I can put it to you.
Yeah, there's amortization schedules on the bonds.
Yeah, I remember.
We've got
seeing it.
notes that are still, we're still working with it. So that part we kind of would be guessing with, but
Well, I asked because it'd be nice to understand the comfortable level load, like a base assumption of 5% per year for the next 20 years of a rate increase would be comfortable, and then you tweak it, yearly as you know more information. But I think for that, you need a couple of things. We need an estimate of the increase that to keep the water running. And then you need an estimate of the increase to pay our current load, so that 20-year schedule, and then some type of projection, or maybe you just do the first two and then make decisions on what capital projects we can assume. Seems like some analysis like that could
Sure.
help inform and message.
The thing, the tricky part of it is that the numbers change.
Sure.
So while,
So each year we could revise it, but for example, the work you're doing on the budget with the department heads, you could say, well, chemicals costs and then personnel costs they about double every year, so I'm gonna need this amount of money.
right,
So that would be 3% base, we'd assume, per year. And then after that, you look at the debt and say, wow, it goes up to, it like triples for 5 years out here, but if we wanna level load it. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to understand if that comfortable number for just those two things is 5 or 10% per year.
well, I'll say, I think it's certainly between those numbers.
Right.
Uh,
And then on capital projects on top of that, if we're rebonding, then next year we'd have to look at that and then start messaging to the public. It's gonna be 12% per year for the next 10 years.
yeah, and then we pay our percentage of the debt service of the county sewer district.
Yes.
Which is gonna be a huge.
And that
increase.
I really do love the idea of having the separate line item for that with a
Mhm.
plan for when that could daylight, if it ever does. Or retire if it ever does. Because that's good public messaging, so the people will understand that's what this is for.
Do either of you have a sense of how much the sewer bills are gonna go up every year? Or every 6 months?
Well, for next year, we had correspondence from the county sewer district.
Let's
And
do-
so we're planning on putting $9 million into the budget for next year. But they're not
That's a
really,
million more than this year.
no, we'd be,
For capital improvements on top.
no, 9 for the cost of our contract with the county sewer district. We
Correct.
budgeted 8.7
8.7, right.
this year, and we're budgeting for next year.
Right. Our expense might not be 8.7 this year, since based on the first 6 months, expense like 4,046,000, which is, I assume is gonna be like close to
Yeah.
that for the next 6
Yeah, the
months.
problem is what we pay depends on the flow.
Right.
Correct.
And if this year the flow is, we have less rain and less going to the sewer district, we don't want to underestimate what it might be.
Right, but
next
that,
year.
I mean, Mr. Simke, you can correct me. The 9 million does not include the debt that they're trying to impose on us, I
Right.
think, so.
That's not hitting yet.
Correct.
They haven't really started, they may have started getting that money secured, but they haven't started spending it yet, so it's not hitting hitting our bills yet. They're just getting engineering going for these projects, but they're soon gonna be working on their incinerators and their the stuff they have in regard to their grit removal. Those projects are moving ahead, but we don't expect a lot of that debt service stuff to hit until maybe later in 27 or 28.
Correct. So it's not so far.
Not so far out, but
Yeah.
we could have an interim hearing and add a row at any time, right? Not just our usual annual rate increase.
Meaning to get the public's thoughts on it.
Yeah, if in 27, we realize we do have to start funding the sewer.
I think we've talked before about perhaps having a surcharge in regard to the debt service part of the county sewer district, because it'd be an unknown. That's going to be until they build out their project and get to where they have a good body. So it's gonna be hard to know how to budget their costs in the construction projects.
We can do that at any time in the year.
Lots of unknowns.
Are there any more questions for Bill? Thank you very much. Is there any new business to be brought before this committee? Okay. Is there any reason to enter into an executive session? Okay, the next meeting is scheduled for Friday, October 23rd at 8:30 a.m. So if there's no more business to be brought before this committee, I would ask for a motion to adjourn
So
at 8:12 or 9:12, sorry.
12.
Thank
So
you.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.